This is such a great honor to have, I wouldn't say the people who spoke, but I'll call them our fathers, to share from the testimonies of their lives. We're grateful, sir. We're grateful, sirs. We're so honored to have you. And as a youth, I'm here to do just one thing. And one of the things I want to do first is to share the contemplation of my heart from the sessions that have taken place. I'm not going to repeat what has been said. And I told him I'll just have a few minutes to be able to do that. Then on from prayer sessions where we had people repenting because in the workplace they are out to display the work that God is doing through what they do. The Director General for the Institute of Mentoring is here, and he said to me, "Do you know we have fathers who are still standing? That means we have hope." The young generations in Africa, not just Nigeria, have a great hope because of the men we see standing. From their testimony, you can hear how pure it is. You can hear how the Spirit of God is oozing out of their lives. They didn't start yesterday, not last month, not 5 years ago. We're hearing 30 years and beyond and still standing. That is to say, our generation have no excuse. We have no excuse because we have found the people who are living Christ, even in the workplaces. And I stand here not to talk about me. I stand here not to represent me. I stand here to represent Christ because all the glory goes back to Him. Someone once asked one of the presidents of of Argentina, that why is North America more successful than South America? These two continents, God, will I use the word, for lack of a better word, God had independence almost the same time. But how comes North America is more successful than South America? And these are the words of that particular president. He said, when South America got her independence, when she went to possess her continent, she went in search of gold because she heard that there are a lot of minerals in the ground. So she went in search of gold. But when North America were to take over their continent, they went in search of God. Most times in our workplaces, we take up the job because we want gold. So we go in search of gold. But we have found Christ, and we're still going in search of gold. Now, the real thing in the workplace is to search for God. And I love the definition, or rather the root meaning of work that our father from Kenya brought to us this afternoon. Now, another meaning of work, the root meaning in Hebrew, is worship. Then I realized in this place that worship is an expression of work. And that is why in the corporate world there is a term that has become a new normal. It's called the VUCA concept. V-U-C-A. V, they are standing for volatility. U for uncertainty. C for complexity. A for ambiguity. Now, when we say volatility, we've seen the example shared to us today. How entertainment has turned to madness. I can't continue to name them. But if you think you're the best in your business, by the following day you've gone obsolete. Things are changing real fast. And because things are changing real fast, the world now is tied onto uncertainty. And with much uncertainty, what comes to play is complexity. And Once there is complexity in a nation, a community, or in a workplace, then there is bound to be ambiguity. But how can we solve this in the workplaces? We are so privileged to have fathers who have opened up new ways to show expression of love to our workplaces. I stand to represent, or rather speak, the contemplation of my heart as a young professional. They, for us, are examples we can see. They weren't just saying it, they are living it. Most people fail in life because they lack mentoring. This is a privilege for us in ICCC to connect with the reality of this truth. And I need to say this to young professionals like myself, that we need to take up that bold step to intentionally seek for mentors. I repeat, intentionally. You must stand to say, I need someone to guide me. But I need you to know that the ultimate guide is the Holy Spirit. The ultimate guide is Jesus. The ultimate guide is God Himself. But He has worked and wonders through the face of the earth, through people that we have seen share their lives, pour their lives before our very eyes today. And that is why I always share with my friends, just like what was done today, I consider it a group mentoring session. I say to my friends, this is what I learned from certain mentors, that we always keep 3 relationships every day of our lives. Those we look up to as mentors, those we share things in common with as peer mentors. Then whether you like it or not, there are people looking up to you. You may not be aware. 15 years later, 20 years later, someone is going to walk up to you and say, I'm grateful. Your life was what has reformed and transformed my life over the years. If you think you're an expert as a professional, I'm here to announce to you how obsolete you are. Because what you know can only be what was. Because we belong to a group of people as believers who don't boast in the confidence of yesterday. We belong to an age which is yet to come. If you look at the bottom of your what we call this, your daughter, you will see walking in the power of the age to come. We are experts of the future. And Ben-Gurion says, that's one of the prime ministers of Israel, says that if you claim to be an expert, I want to remind you is of the past, because all you know is obsolete. It was yesterday. So I announce to you that if you want to be an expert, rather be an expert of the age to come. Because the expert of the age to come does not boast in his experience. He boasts on the one
in his revelation,
who is the age to come. That's where vision is being replaced with experience. They have experience. We have vision. That's why God said to Habakkuk, when he said, I'll stand on my words and see what he will say to me. And the instruction is, write the vision, make it plain. And this is the age and this is the time where we must know that is our responsibility to still take the experience of those who have gone ahead of us, then ask God to show us what to do. Reformation at work. We have heard diverse definitions, but the simplest ever explanation on reformation at work is the picture we see. first picture you see on your flyer or the flyer, Jeremiah 18, which now explains when Jeremiah said to him, go to the potter's house. You can read that yourself for the sake of time. Now, I'm rounding up before other people share their testimonies. If you permit me, I want to do something within a minute. When our father, but the song kept coming. Then I realized I have a work bigger than this telecommunication industry. I was yet to be confirmed, receiving almost 6 figures. Then one day I woke up because I saw a quote which now make it clear, starting from my home, about a young man who wanted to change the world. He began the wrong way. He set out on a journey to change the world. Very young. And that's the thought I always have about changing the world. Traveling maybe to UK and start changing everybody on the street. But as he set on that journey, something happened. He discovered the world was too big for him. Then he came down to his continent. The same thing happened. And so he kept going backwards. By the time he would get to his family, he was already an old man. And even his family could not change them. And one day as an old man, he sat in the chair, on the chair, and he thought in himself, now he's already old. And he said, what if I started the journey with myself? What would have happened? Then he began to see. If my attitude was wrong, and I began to change my attitude, my wife suddenly would say, my husband has changed. Then she'll be influenced by the change that have happened to me. Then my children. Then the community. Then the country. Then the world. Then I'll be able to hit my chest and say, I indeed have changed my world. And that was a eureka moment for me. I love talking. Then I said, I want to go into consulting. So I was resigning. And my boss said to me, something is wrong with you. I said, no, I heard a song. And that song was out of scripture. I'm starting from my home unto Jerusalem, then to the ends of the world, earth. But I'm doing that through the workplace. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know what consulting meant. But I was ready to go by the help of God. It was 9 years ago. And as I began the journey, no consulting company will take you in. Then I made a decision, I will work for free. That was the time I discovered when you work to learn, you receive diverse kinds of salary. Then I came to work in the office. They sent me to mop the house. So in order to mop the house very fast, the first few days, when I see some dirt, I want to hide them. But I ask myself a question. They are little dirt. But the more I hide them, over time it will turn to chunk of dirt. And that's how sin is. And then I realized that the devil is in the details. But God is also in the details. What I'm trying to say is, the big things of life are hidden in little things. Then I realized if my faithfulness, which is little, is kept, then faithfulness over time will grow. That's right. But then I didn't know how to stand before people to speak. I was asked to come. I joined a group, Alliance of Change Empowerment Speakers. So they said I should speak for 5 minutes. I have a fear. How do I speak to professionals? Some of them I've not seen them. I saw them just on TV, social media, and I'm coming to speak before them. So anytime I want to rehearse, I wait in Lagos. Once they carry lights, everybody will on his jet. Nowadays, you don't hear too much sound because I Pass My Neighbor has been banned. There's a generator in Nigeria we call I Pass My Neighbor. So once it's on, you hardly hear sound. So that's my rehearsal time. I wait for NEPA to take light. So I'll stand at the back of the house, rehearsing how to do my body language and all of that. But I realized that wasn't working. Then the security man walked up to me and said, maybe very soon we'll take you to Yaba. Because he believed that this guy has gone mad. But whatever happened, the day before I came to speak, I now realized I don't have the confidence to stand. That's the beginning of the change of my work life in the consulting industry. Then I began to search someone who was confident. Then I found Christ, who could stand before any authority, any class of people, young or old, with strong and great boldness. Then this was what I said. I never forgot. I said, I will borrow Christ's confidence. That's the term I use. If they laugh, I'll tell Jesus, you see, they are laughing at you because your confidence I use, not my own, because I don't have one. So when I took up the podium that day, I was shaking inside and almost outside. But I was trusting him to help me deliver my 5-minute speech. And in just few seconds, I knew, because before I took up the podium, I was praying in tongues. And he came through for me. Amen. And the testimony was, we don't know where this boy came from, but the way he broke through. And anytime I stand to speak, people say, how do you do it? I say, I don't know, it's Jesus. And this is how I take it to the corporate body. Now, I'm not here to bore you with my story, but to remind you, just as our father from Kenya says, go back to the vision. I'm rounding up now. I needed to point something, if you permit me. Mr. John, can you come forward, please? If you permit me, let me just do this. Because I've come to realize, I told you, we've done some research, and we found out even among body of believers, when you ask a simple question like, what is vision? You hear things like, vision is what I want to be in the future. So if you say you want to be, it's okay for a 10-year-old child to say that. So we move down to another place and we discover people who use the same term, what I want to be in the future. So my boss went to an older man who was over 90 years old. He says, what is vision? He said, vision is what I want to be in the future. And he said, Grandpa, you're 95. Future? And the Bible says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I needed to do this. Maybe just for one person. Mr. Solomon, can you stand, please? Now, we're going to be snappy. This was part of the things that helped shape my life. We're still growing, and we are watching on our fathers in ICCC and other places that God is leading us to. And this was the definition of vision I got. Or rather, that God helped a lot of us to see and further help the things we do. Because we've come to realize that we have only one destination as a people living in ICC, and that destination is called Christ. We're going to a place called Destination Christ. But then, this is vision explained. If we all look at John, the only challenge I will have, sometimes, we've seen the bad side of the things that affect a nation. We said Nigeria is in recession. Some people say we have gone out of the recession. And someone says, in recession, some people don't laugh. If you give a joke 2 days ago, they won't laugh 2 days ago. It's 3 days ago or 4 days later. When the reality of the word comes, they are laughing in arrears because of the challenges of a nation. Now, I don't say this to just create a joke. But let's say, can you see him over there? Now, let's all assume this is the man I'm pointing us to, Mr. John. Can you do something to make him laugh? Please help us. What made you laugh?
Among other things, the reaction from
The audience.
the audience.
Not him.
Not him.
Okay. Please, just snappy, please. Just help us. Just do something to make him laugh.
I think the first time.
Just do anything. Why are you laughing?
It's funny.
Now, when he said he's funny, let's assume we can't see what he is seeing. At this point in time, we'll think something is wrong with him. Because when we all ask him, why are you laughing now? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
It's funny.
Who? Who is funny?
Solomon.
Who we're pointing? Now, most times that's how we point our vision. That's how we lead. We explain how our vision looks like. And people are wondering, something must be wrong with you. For the sake of time, go and bring that thing that is making you to laugh. Then it's like 1 year, 2 years, with the help of God, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. How many years now?
16.
Now, for how long has he been seeing the reality he has been seeing?
16.
Now, when did you all see him?
Yeah, the 16th year.
16 years when?
After.
16 years later. Now, he has been carrying a reality for 16 years, and you call him arrogant. You call him foolish. You tell him something is wrong with him. But it's possible he fell along the line. But the Lord was his strength. The Lord was his confidence. The Lord was his boast. He never disconnected with the reality that God has placed in his heart. And every day he lived reacting to the reality he has always carried in his heart. If we listen today, there's something so... I may not remember. But this is, while the message was going on, I was getting more clarity. That when God comes to sit in our heart, how we respond, people will see joy through us because of what we are seeing. They will see hope because of what we are seeing. They will see young professionals changing a small company into a bigger company because of what he is seeing. God is leading our generation to a place where we remain consistent with him in our work. Please, a round of applause for him. And lastly, thank you, sir. I was just checking the profile of Coca-Cola, just reading around Coca-Cola. I discovered there was a particular year they sold only 25 bottles. 25. A whole year. Then many years later, I've come to discover in a day they sell nothing less than 1.7 billion to 1.9 billion bottles a day. But that is not our standard. Our standard is Christ. And that brings me to the place where I ask, how does a miracle look like? For someone to get a visa in 24 hours, wasn't that a miracle? Nigerian visa. How does a miracle look like? To just wake up and think it's by your strength. To me, that's a miracle. You got to this hotel and you're up here in the upper room. That's a miracle. What we have today from our fathers, to me, is a miracle. It's a miracle that will change my own country and changed the entire continent of Africa. It was one Jesus who met one Peter, then Andrew, then we find the 12, then we find many, then one upper room where we find the 120 people. And the move of the Spirit came, and there were 3,000, and the numbers kept adding. Even before the pages of the book were finished, we were called the people who turned the world upside down. It's a great work to keep God in the center of our hearts in the workplaces. And with this, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you for this wonderful privilege. Thank you.